Soumare has been linked with Arsenal for what feels like nearly a year now, having been linked previously to Gunners in 2019 summer window. But it's this month particularly what we're seeing intensity of these links increasing exponentially, especially with Arsenal's, of course, quite a good record now with Lille as they've signed Pepe and of course, Gabriel on tenterhooks and ready to pass through the doors of the Emirates. But it's Soumare that's next, and he genuinely looks to be a fantastic player. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Tool. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Tactical Breakdown series, a show in which we look at the players that have been linked to Arsenal and those that might be entering the doors of the Emirates very soon. And we look at them in an analytical and statistical way with the help of some expert insight too, to give you the biggest and best breakdown you could possibly ask for your Arsenal target. So if you enjoy that sort of stuff, you found the right place, but make sure you stick around by clicking that subscribe button and hitting the like button as well to make sure you let me know and our fantastic regular podcasters know that you're enjoying the content. Yesterday, I say yesterday, 2 days ago, this is a pre-recorded video because as most of you know, I am away this weekend, but I wanted to continue the content for you. So it's out there and it's coming at you whilst I'm away in the Lake District. And I hope you are enjoying the effort that's gone into pre-doing that. So definitely hit that like button for me to let me know you have. But a couple of days ago, we did the TGT Writers podcast. We talked a lot about current Arsenal news, so make sure you check that out. And I also did a video yesterday trying to think about what's happening now in the future, and it would have been yesterday, about Torreira and Martinez and the new coaches, so make sure you check that out too. But let's jump into today's video to talk about Soumare, and we jump into it by talking to our French correspondent. There is only one man when it comes to French football that we can talk to. We've talked to him a few times now, but it's more than a few times on the podcast because he's fantastic. It's Jeremy Smith. You can find him on Twitter at JeremySmith98, so make sure you go give him a follow. But let's hear what Jeremy has to say regarding Soumare.
The latest player from Lille, who are sort of turning into Arsenal's feeder club at the moment, that Arsenal have been connected with, is midfielder Boubakary Soumare. He's still only 21. He's kind of been on the scene for 3 years or so now. He's yet another player who actually came through the PSG youth ranks and obviously impressed for them in the sort of junior Champions League, but was another player who felt that he was never going to sort of get a crack at the first team and so moved on to Lille. A couple of seasons ago, he made around sort of 14, 15 substitute appearances. The year after that, it progressed to about 20. And then this season just passed, it looked like he'd really broken into the first team. He made 20 appearances, most of them as a starter, and had really kind of settled into the team. But the weird thing is that suddenly from halfway through the season, he was dropped to the bench. And for the second half of the season, obviously it was cut short, but he barely featured. I don't think that was anything to do with performances. It was more to do with the fact that in January, Lille agreed a deal with Newcastle for him to go there, and he refused. In terms of whose fault it was, there's a bit of sort of he said, she said going on. Lille say that his entourage were kind of pushing, touting him across Europe, trying to get him a good transfer to another club, and then once they sort of acquiesced and found another club, then he refused. He was saying, well, Lille were trying to push me out. Whatever the reasons, he ended up sending a letter of apology. I don't think it necessarily means that he's admitting guilt. I think he just wanted to try to clear the air and get back into the first team. But it's a pity because it sort of stopped him right in the middle of his flow, just as he was really getting some first team form together. But as a player, certainly on the pitch, I don't think there's ever been any temperament issues. I think it's just, usual modern thing with agents and looking for big transfer deals. As a player, he's got massive potential, and it's always tempting doing one of these Arsenal things to kind of hark back to the great Arsenal players. So I don't want to be overly sort of melodramatic, but the obvious comparison potentially is Patrick Vieira, because Soumare is a predominantly defensive midfielder. He's never particularly shown any sort of attacking instinct or interest, but either defensively or as a box to box, he's got massive potential. He's tall, he's strong, he's athletic, he's a really good tackler, but also with the ball, he can break lines with the ball at his feet. He's a very good passer, good engine on him, and because of the way the last 3 seasons have gone, sort of gradually building up and then cut off in his sort of getting to his prime. It's difficult to say exactly what his potential is and how close he is to getting there. We haven't sort of seen much progression yet, but all the sort of raw tools are there. And if he's got the right manager and the right team around him, I do feel like his potential is kind of limitless. I suppose in a way, and maybe another connection, but even though he's slightly more offensive, but the way people were talking about Abu Diaby and kind of saying, he could be the next sort of modern footballer who can do a little bit of everything. Soumare has everything in his locker that he could do that. I don't want to say that he's definitely going to do that, because at only 21 and with not enough first team appearances under his belt, it's hard to make that leap. But with all the physical attributes and the football attributes that he's got, if they're all harnessed in the right way, then he could become a fantastic footballer. It's a big step to say he definitely will do, but there's definitely the potential there.
I think there's loads of potential that can come from this guy, and people have been talking about like the backup plan to Thomas Partey if we can't get him in. And I don't want Arsenal going down the route of signing a player just because they couldn't get Partey. The player that they sign needs to be someone that has real quality, close to, if not the exact same as Partey. Now, Soumare isn't that guy. There is the potential, though, for Soumare to become as good, if not even better, than Partey. From what I've spoken to with Jeremy and some other people that have watched him very, very closely, this is someone that has a lot of talent. He has to get the consistency right. He has to prove himself in a top league. But if he can replicate what he's doing for Lille in the Premier League and make it consistent, you've got a real chance of nabbing someone here. So I think this is one of those players where I would hold my hands up and go, I don't mind Arsenal going for a guy like this, but it's where that kind of divides the opinion about going for someone like Amadou Diawara, who, of course, is 23 as well, still very young, but I don't quite see the potential in him as I do in Soumare, if that makes sense. But let me know in the thoughts below. What do you think about that? Do you think it's worth sticking with the plan of going for Partey? And if we can't get Partey, wait until we find someone as good, if not better? Or is it worth bringing in someone like Soumare now, who has the potential to be as good as a Thomas Partey? We'll have to wait and see. Before we do, though, let's go and have a look at some of his statistics and have a look at how he has done in the past season. Now, of course, as Jeremy said, League was curtailed, but it did mean that we've got still a fair amount of sort of statistical analysis that we can look through. And what else that we can do is we can also look at some of the stuff that's happened this season, because Liga kicked off just over a week or so ago. So we can have a look at this season and last season and make some comparisons. So in terms of his defensive work, it's really good reading. 65.9% of the defensive duels he's making, he wins. As Jeremy said, he's a really good tackler, winning 45% of the loose ball duels. Also good. Over 4 interceptions in each game is also really good. More recoveries than losses. We always look out for that when it comes to these players. That's not something that Thomas Partey can boast. He has more losses than he does his recoveries, and that's not something that Soumare does. So he's a very succinct, that's the word I want to use, player, and he's very careful about what he does, and I like that in a player. Moving on to his passing side of his game, 90.4% passing accuracy is really impressive. Passes into the final third, 81.4% accuracy. Passes into the penalty area, 63%. I know it's only just over 1 per game, but still, that is impressive. It shows strong thinking and intelligent work, and it just goes to show the real potential that this guy has. If we then move on to sort of the attacking stats, which I know can be a bit comical for defensive side of things, but in terms of dribbling is something that you really want to look at. And to win 60% nearly of his dribbles, and he's making just over 2 per game, is really good as well, and I like that. The shots that he does take in games, they're not very often, as you can see, and there's not too much analysis to go on there. He's not the guy that's going to pop up in the box. He's not going to be like other sort of midfielders that we've seen like Thiago that like to go further forwards and get involved in that sort of the area of the pitch. He's not going to do that, which means he's disciplined and he does his job really, really well. Let's, before we go on to some of the graphics, look at this season, how he's done in the competition so far, playing in the friendlies and then against Rennes in Lille's first game of the season. He only played 13 minutes in that match, in fairness. So if we have a look at his defensive side of the game and what he's able to do in those 13 minutes, not much. It's fair to say. Not much. In fact, nothing in terms of defense. If we have a look at some of the passing, he made 6 passes, and each of those passes was 100% accurate. Passing to the final third, again, 100% accurate with those. So he wasn't able to get on the pitch for too long, but when he was, his passing was really, really strong. And in his friendly so far this season, passing accuracy was 71%, but he made quite a few in that game. 67% of passing to the final third. And if we look at the defensive stats for that game, he made 1 defensive duel and he won that defensive duel too. So there's maybe, and he made an interception as well in only 31 minutes of gameplay. So I'm not quite sure why he didn't start. I mean, Jeremy was kind of talking about how he's failed to get regular minutes across the last like 3 years, and he's sort of grown into that position. And maybe that's something to do with it. But maybe people can enlighten me in the comment section below as to why we think he's not getting as many minutes right now at the start of the season. It might be due to injury. Who knows at this stage? But let's have a look at some of the graphics before we wrap things up. Go rattle through these quite quick. So in terms of his defensive and tactical ability, he senses danger really well. He closes players down, he wins the ball back, and he plays it off to his teammates. Or, in the case of this example here against Valencia in the Champions League, the boys on the right-hand side for the Spanish club is going to be played inside. Soumare anticipates the danger, steps in, wins the ball fantastically, and then drives up the pitch to create an opportunity in the opposition half. He's really good at turning on the press and really countering the opposition. I like that. In terms of his passing, his long passing is educated and really well thought out passing is good. Long passing too, playing the balls up to wider areas to access those right wing backs really well in this scenario. And then to create chances, we talked about the fact that his passing to the box aren't that strong, but when it does happen and the through passes are being played to the forward players, they are quite exciting. This chance for Victor Osimhen, who of course has joined at Napoli this season, but the pass in behind for the Nigerian forward was excellent, and it created a goal. In fact, it was an assist for Soumare. So really good stuff from the young guy. I really kind of hope that if Partey doesn't happen, which I still do, hope it does, but to get someone like Soumare in could be a real coup for the club. Let me know what you think about Soumare in the comment section below. Is he someone that you would like to see come in? Make sure you give Jeremy Smith a follow on Twitter at JeremySmith98. You can follow us at Laguna Talk TV. It's been a pleasure to speak to you, as it always is. We'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.